Welcome to the last part out of 4 of why Nintendo is underrated. In the first part, we talked about how Nintendo makes revolutionary consoles. In the second, games for everyone. Third, about how Nintendo saves gaming. And in this one, which is the fourth and last, about Nintendo's community and atmosphere. Opposing consoles, please make your comments correspond with the topic of each video. For example, don't put comments about your controllers in this one and do that in the first one, which is about consoles. I know I already did a disclaimer 1 minute on every video I say make, but since this is a series of videos on the same topic, I needed to just mention that before. So enough of stalling, let's begin and talk about why Nintendo is underrated, specifically for its happy community and great atmosphere. Remember, chapters and timestamps are in the description below, so feel free to skip around. And the first part we're going to talk about is Nintendo's music. Nintendo really knows how to make their music enhance the feeling you're getting when you're playing a certain part of their games. The opening is Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the biggest crossover Nintendo to its release date, should make you feel excited and anxious, and above all, feel epic. An entire opera? Now that's epic. Now take a moment to listen to this music. Epic, right? Next, I'm going to talk about Super Mario Galaxy's music. The beautiful music goes really well with the beautiful parts of the game. Take a moment to listen to this music. If you're about to say that Nintendo has just hired a bunch of composers for each game and then they created themselves, well, Nintendo actually has a music department dating back in the 1980s full of composers. And even if Nintendo didn't make the music, what exactly does PlayStation and Xbox do anyways? They are investors. Xbox especially. They don't even create the games for their console. The most they do is buy the company of the one who makes the video game. Now, I would love to keep putting in more amazing Nintendo music, but then you guys would be bored, so let's move on to Nintendo's art. Before you Xbox or PlayStation fans start talking about Nintendo's quote-by-quote trash graphics, then Rovio once made a game with realistic graphics. And you know what a majority of Angry Birds fans said? It's disgusting. Thus, Angry Birds Evolution became one of the worst Angry Birds games to this day. Realism doesn't mean everything. The art and graphics are connected to it. Do you know why people don't like the Man of Steel movie? Because Superman is supposed to be more upbeat. Why such a dark mood? Shazam got way more positive reviews when it was as fun as upbeat as it was from its source material. No offense, but pretty much all the games people play on Xbox or PlayStation care about are either realistic sports, RPG, or gun games. That is why they only have realistic graphics. Nintendo has all sorts of genres, from casual platforming, Mario, to fantasy adventure, Legend of Zelda, to science horror, Metroid, to cute dog simulators, Nintendogs. You have them all. Those are just a few examples. Playful, cartoonish graphics work better for casual platforming, and realistic graphics work better for science horror. Nintendo has a huge portfolio of game genres and does have a huge portfolio of art and graphics. The coloring is also amazing. Take a look at the Super Mario Galaxy. It fills your mind with wonder. Nintendo knows how to make its visuals match the mood of the game, just like how it does with its music. We talked a lot about mood, but let's talk about the characters themselves. The nice thing about Nintendo games is not everyone's a human from this earth. They're way more expressive. For example, Wario is a goofy 40 guy. You can tell that he's with his design. Link is that silent kid is a hero. You can tell that by his design. Zelda's someone gets shipped with Link a lot. You can tell that with their design. Alright, those are just the human characters. Look at other ones. Diddy Kong is an adventurous monkey. You can tell that with his design. Koopa Troopa is an innocent cutie pie. You can tell that with his design. I know you guys are getting bored and are confused by why I'm doing this. Well, do you see the huge differences between these characters' traits? Pretty much all Xbox or PlayStation characters are either see, or cool. Nintendo has way more variety in characters and shows that to a good extent when designing that. This allows for a more colorful and diverse audience and more interesting and fun playthrough. Nintendo has more creativity when creating these sprites. We talked about mood, we talked about the sprites, now we're going to talk about the morals. There are different morals a game can have. Getting over it in the battle cast tries to frustrate you at many times to teach you a lesson. After you get through the challenge, it ends up being very rewarding. Nintendo has a huge variety of morals that fit the mood and genre of each game. The Legend of Zelda is a fantasy exploring game, so it teaches you the lesson that it is about the journey, not the destination. When the post-game literal rewards are terrible, that is teaching the player that it is not all about the object at the end, it is about what you learn on the way and the experience you got. New Super Mario Bros. Wii has a lot of shortcuts, but when you skip the worlds that are trying to teach you the platforming skills you need to defeat Bowser, you find yourself struggling and repeating the same level more than 100 times. Shortcuts are great, but then you'll skip what is important to make this shortcut actually work. Now, we talk about a lot about Nintendo's great atmosphere, but what about its community? Xbox and PlayStation's main genre of video games are online competitive sports or gun games. Games are all about having fun. Unfortunately, some of PlayStation and Xbox fans get a little angry whenever their teammates, who almost all the time are complete strangers, randomly selected, make a little mess up. I'll take it from here. Alright,
Dude, you're rare that these teammates are randomly selected. You've never even seen their face, nor even hear their voice. Here you're spamming 100 of the same words. Yes, means that in verb form. If you have a problem with your teammates, instead of being immature going rage when you have no idea what's going on in their lives, play an offline game. Better, just play with your friends and or family, assuming if you have some. If you don't, chances are your social skills are weak and yelling at an unknown person is not going to help.
these online games, Xbox or PlayStation, people play all the time have terrible communities. Multiplayer games are supposed to be full of happiness and or laughter, but instead, anger, frustration, and trash talking dominate. Nintendo, on the other hand, has more friendly and happy communities. Yes, you still get angry with each other, but the difference is that anger only arises when you're playing together in person. So you'd actually look them in the eye and see their face while you're yelling at them. What about online games? Well, Nintendo's main form of online play is creating levels and playing other people's creations. YouTube, but a video game. Most of the comments are memes or positivity, not negativity. In fact, the comments are more like Reddit, where the comments are more related and making posts are super easy. There is way more fun in Nintendo's online play than in Xbox or PlayStation's. Well, online play isn't the only factor of a community. What about the YouTubers in it? Since this is a YouTube video after all. Stampy and Danny Team are just the few of the legendary OG Minecraft YouTubers who are Nintendo fans. They even once collaborated with each other in Mario Kart. PewDiePie, you know, who's considered a king of gaming, also plays Nintendo games on occasion too. Nintendo channels such as Nathaniel Bandy, Nico BBQ, and so many more dedicate themselves to fun, friendly Nintendo videos. The amount of wikis about the Nintendo universe is insane, and all of these are full of helpful and interesting information, with friendly interaction with each other such as polls, discussion, help, and more, and with the community add on to these posts. The Nintendo community is a more fun and happier place to live in, and I'm glad to be part of it. If you don't agree, Xbox or PlayStation fans, then disagree, but whatever it is, you'll not be able to change my mind about whose community is supreme. Yes, I know trash talk is not everyone here, and I know Nintendo does have a share of trash talkers, but the winner in happiness has to go to Nintendo. If you don't care about happiness the community gives you, then fine. Anyways, we talked about Nintendo's awesome music, art, sprites, and community in this video. In the last three, we talked about Nintendo's awesome consoles and games along with Nintendo saving gaming. If all of that was not enough, then I don't think I'll be able to change your mind in my current state. So I think it is time to wrap up this video and the rest of this series. In conclusion, Nintendo created and still creates amazing gaming products, whose elements are superior to those of its competitors when looked upon closely. Nintendo created a revolutionary console, made games for everyone, saved gaming after the crash in 1983, and has a great atmosphere and community to it. If it weren't for Nintendo, gaming would be so behind. And thanks to it setting the bar, we don't have so many different, smaller, and separate warring console companies out there all continue to be pieces of something we want. Similar to the current and hopefully about it and streaming wars, where we have so many different services each containing a piece of something we want. We will be nowhere near to where we are today without the amazing technology Nintendo created and or revolutionized. We will be nowhere to where we are today without the gaming experiences Nintendo created for all to enjoy. We will be nowhere near to where we are today without Nintendo saving gaming. We will be nowhere near where we are today without Nintendo creating such a happy and emotional place to live in. You can make a case that the gaming industry could simply take from the animation and software industry, but it might as well be teaching a fish how to fly. So remember that the next time you or someone else thinks Nintendo's horrible or overrated. If Nintendo's that, then what is Xbox and PlayStation? Who watched and then became interested, throw some money in and got success off it, even though they'll probably deny it. If Nintendo's overrated and horrible, so is Lord of the Rings, which was the start of modern fantasy, and Charlie Chaplin, who played a very big role in the movie industry, and so many more OGs. Anyways, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye!